Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you
for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Well, these conservative judges keep doing all they can to keep black folks from having a second congressional district in Louisiana. Now that they've ruled, a court panel has ruled that the second district now is racial gerrymandering. What the hell is going on? We'll talk to an attorney with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund about the latest battle in Louisiana. Hundreds arrested, classes have been canceled as campus demonstrations across the U.S. intensify. We'll be talking with journalist and Professor Rula Jebreal about the growing number of pro-Palestinian students putting it all on the line. Justice Department's Kristen Clarke says she was a victim of domestic abuse. Conservatives are coming after her because of her testimony. Some have been calling for her resignation. We will talk about this issue and really how it is grossly unfair to her. Also, the non-compete agreements have been banned in the country. We'll talk to an HR expert about how this is going to dramatically change how companies deal with employees. Also, in tonight's tech segment, I'll talk with Isaac Hayes III, the founder of Fanbase, about the integration of artificial intelligence in music production, plus layoffs at Byron Allen's The Grio. We'll tell you about that as well. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Well, the battle over a second black congressional district in Louisiana is not over. A 3-judge panel voted 2-1 to Trump appointees against using the map recently passed by the Louisiana legislature. Now, of course, that was passed after a different federal judge blocked the map in 2022. Now, again, this has been going on for quite some time. 12 self-described non-African-American voters challenged this new district. The lawsuit said the districts amounted to unconstitutional racial gerrymandering and discriminated against white voters while putting together disparate areas of the state into one district. Now it's uncertain if this second district is going to be in place come November. Yep. And there we go. Jared Evans is a senior policy counsel at the Legal Defense Fund. He joins us right now. Glad to have you on the show. So, okay, here's what's crazy. Yeah, but in this lawsuit, it's been going back and forth. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, got to create a second district. All right. Conservatives, Republicans try to get the Fifth Circuit to rule against it, try to get another crack at the apple. Doesn't work. Legislature got no choice. They redraw it, create the second district. Now all of a sudden, another lawsuit now claiming racial gerrymandering. Isn't this an attempt to try to restart the clock and to stop this from being created?
Well, good evening, Roland. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you again. Obviously, we are disappointed in the decision from yesterday. Our goal has always been to have a map in place with 2 black districts for 2024. And yesterday's ruling was on the map that the governor supported. This map was never our map. It was never the map that the Black Caucus had got behind. It wasn't the map that the civil rights community had supported. There are 7 different plans that we have submitted and socialized for the past 2 years. So, you know, we're disappointed that there wasn't resolution from the court's ruling, that this will continue for another couple of months, we expect. But listen, we're taking a lot of positives from yesterday's ruling. First and foremost, it appears clear now to everyone that there must be a map in place for the 2 black districts. As you alluded to in your opening, the Supreme Court has said that, the District Court has said that, and even this 3-judge panel from yesterday, they essentially just said that this particular map can't be used going forward. They didn't address the issue of whether there should be a second black district, because I think at this point, everyone who's involved in this process, the courts, the stakeholders, everyone kind of accepts that that's what's going to be the case.
So I was looking at, so first of all, for the audience, so what was this panel yesterday? Because again, y'all been going back and forth with the Fifth Circuit. So who were these judges yesterday?
This was a 3-judge panel from the Western District of Louisiana. Anytime that you are litigating a constitutional issue or an issue related to the 14th Amendment, the plaintiffs, as they refer to themselves as non-African Americans, when they challenge this plan, they raise constitutional challenges. So from the bat, you get a 3-judge panel, which means that the only place you can appeal to after that is the Supreme Court. So these were 3 judges from the Western District of Louisiana.
Okay, so this ruling doesn't have to now go through the budget appeals court. The Supreme Court has to take it up.
We have appealed to the Supreme Court. Yes, today we filed our notice of appeal and a notice for an emergency stay with this court that we are asking the Supreme Court to allow SB 8 to go forward because, Roland, the election's in 6 months. And right now, Louisiana is the only state in the country that does not have a congressional map. The legislature has passed 2 maps. The first one was the one that we challenged in court that continued to pack black voters in New Orleans and Baton Rouge into the same district, creating the most gerrymandered district in the country. 2 years ago, the district court struck that map down as a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And yesterday, the legislature, the court struck down SB 8, which was the legislature's attempt to comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act as a violation of the Constitution. So as of yesterday, Louisiana does not have a congressional map. And so we start the process on Monday of figuring out the remedial process. We'll be back in Shreveport to meet with those judges and the opposing counsel to figure out, what the process is going to be. But in the meantime, Roland, we're not taking our chances. It's time for the Supreme Court to weigh in. As you alluded to and went through in your opening, we've been going through this litigation for 2 full years now. And if you think back to when we started our census outreach and when the roadshow process started, it's been almost 3 years since we have been fighting for a congressional map with 2 black districts. So our clients are ready for resolution. Everyone is just kind of ready for finality. So it's time for the Supreme Court to step in, and we fully expect them to.
So this is Michael Lee with the Brennan Center posted these tweets earlier. So just correct me if I'm wrong, the pink area apparently this is the map that Louisiana approved.
Yes, that's correct.
Now,
this map reflects the priorities of the governor and the majority
of Republicans. So,
yes.
Anybody who's watching this, looking at this map, you will see how the other districts are picked. Essentially, they are connected. They are compacted. Now, the remedial map that was discussed, you see in the pink here. This actually makes a hell of a lot more sense because it's much more compacted. So explain to us, for people who don't do this every day, the difference between the two. And so the first one, this is the Republican map. They purposely are snaking through different areas to try to create this. Explain this.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain it.
Right.
Roland, but this is the map. Again, it reflects the political priorities of the legislature. Their goal was to get rid of Congressman Garrett Graves, who currently represents District 6 and has a majority white population. Based off of where black people are situated in the state, one district has to be based in New Orleans, that's District 2 in the green, and the other district, which is the one in dispute right now, that's the other district that's based in Baton Rouge, that's the pink. It can either be District 5 or District 6. And what the majority did is that they started it right there in East Baton Rouge Parish, went all the way up through the Acadiana region in Opelousas and St. Landry Parish. They got the black neighborhoods in Alexandria and Rapides, got all of Natchitoches Parish, my home parish, parts of DeSoto if you go towards the top, and then the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish, which is the predominantly black areas. Again, this is not our map. This is the map that the governor wanted because he wanted to punish his political rivals, and it is the map that he got the legislature to go along with.
So you have a map. You have a map here that literally snakes from, if you look at this here, from southern Louisiana through the middle of Louisiana, almost to northern Louisiana.
Almost to the Texas border.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah.
As opposed to a map that is a lot more, and so this was a mediation map. So number two, and this is a remedial plan. I'm sorry. So this is what actually makes a lot more sense if you look at how the other districts are sort of created. They're connected.
Absolutely. This map is much more compact. These are shapes that we're used to seeing, rectangles and squares and ovals. These objects in this map, it makes a whole lot more sense to go directly north from Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish, all the way up to the Delta along the Mississippi River and connect the black neighborhoods in Monroe and Alexandria. This map just makes a whole lot more sense to us.
So, okay, so now, you filed your appeal. Look, the Supreme Court can take their sweet time. Now, Louisiana is claiming that the maps have got to be in place by May 15th. Let me remind people even how we got here. 2022, early 2022, a judge ruled the map was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said, because they have this so-called rule, freeze it in place because now the time, which is nonsense because Louisiana's primary is in August. They could have easily passed a new map in time for the 22 election, which means unconstitutional maps were used. So therefore, the Republicans had an extra representative from Louisiana because that 22 map was allowed to go forward. The Republicans have been trying to run the clock out because they want to keep that same map in place in 2024 and if they're successful, then that guarantees them another member of Congress as opposed to this new map, which basically will create a second Democratic district in Louisiana because of how black folks vote.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Roland. The Secretary of State has represented in court that May 15th is their deadline to have a map in place. That is their deadline. I fully expect that we're going to blow past that by at least a couple of weeks, if not a month or so, because the Supreme Court, they have to agree to take up the case, which we expect them to, and then there has to be briefing. But we fully expect by the end of June, we should know what kind of posture we're going to be in. And look, as you alluded to, Roland, it's always a roll of the dice with this Supreme Court. They can be very unpredictable, but we start this process going to the highest court optimistic because just last year in the Alabama case, they ruled in favor of black voters. They said that Section 2 is the law of the land and that race can be used in drawing maps. And the facts are so similar between Alabama and Louisiana. So we don't think that anything has substantively changed from last year to this year to a Supreme Court will all of a sudden say, oh, the Voting Rights Act isn't the law of the land, or, oh, well, we're going to allow this other map to go forward. We're going to ask them to allow SB 8, which is the map that you have first on the screen, to go forward simply because it gives us what we originally sued for. Even though we don't like it, even though it's not a compact map, even though it doesn't pass the eyeball test, it is the priority of the legislature, and they have the sole authority. The Constitution of Louisiana gives the legislature the authority to pass a map. And look, if that's their map, if that's what they want, and it gives us what we want, even though we're not happy about it, even though we don't like it, we're going to take it because it is so important, Roland, to have a map in place for 2024. We cannot go through another election under an illegal and unlawful map. So we're going to ask the Supreme Court to lift the stay to allow SB 8 to go forward for 2024, and then hopefully pick back up the fight in 2025 to see what the map is going to look like for 2026, which, by the way, is the same thing that we're doing in Alabama. We have a map in place with 2 black districts for this fall's elections in Alabama because the primaries were earlier. But the litigation picks right back up in January. We will be right back in the court to start the fight for 2026 in Alabama. And, you know, if I had to bet, I'd say right now that's what the same thing is going to happen in Louisiana. The Supreme Court is going to give us this map, allow SB 8 to go forward, and then we'll start the full process to allow the experts to come in and testify to have a full trial on the merits for 2025.
Okay, well, we certainly, again, it's a lot of back and forth, and you got folks who don't want to take no for an answer, and so the legal battle continues. Jared, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me, Roland.
All right, folks, I got to go to break. We come back. We'll talk about this with our panel, talk about some other issues as well. I keep telling y'all, it shows you the power of the black vote when people work this hard to stop the creation of a second black congressional district, which is why we must do our part to actually exercise that right to vote and not stay at home and sit on the couch. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. First, President Barack Obama's road to the White House. We got about 500 copies of the book available. And so this actually is all of the coverage of the 2008 election. But the other thing is this here. I talked to folks like Malik Yoba, Hill Harper, Erica Alexander, Kevin Lau, Spike Lee, Tatiana Ali. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in here as well, where I talked about some of the stuff that went down at CNN. Also, when you go through here, a lot of the photos that you see in here, photos that I actually shot, photos that were my time at CNN. And so what I decided to do, because one, I published the book and I own it myself, is that so I said, you know what, I'm going to slash the price to $10. And so we're going to have shipping and handling $5.99. I'm going to personally autograph every copy. I'm not reprinting the book. So once we are sold out of these 500, that's it. They're gone. So you can go to rolandsmartin.com/the-first to get a copy of this book. Everybody who orders this book through the website, not on Amazon, only through rolandsmartin.com, I will personally autograph and mail you a copy of this book. It's all of the coverage, the actual interviews that I did with him. And just to show you, of course, when it came out, there's actually even in here the interviews that I did with him and Michelle Obama, which won TV One cable networks its first 2 NAACP Image Awards. And so all of that for $10. Shipping and handling is $5.99. So go to rolandsmartin.com the first and order your copy today.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
This is Essence Atkins.
What's the love king of R&B, Raheem Devon?
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you watch.
You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, my panel, Rebecca Carruthers, Vice President, Fair Election Center out of D.C., Robert Patillo, host, People, Passion, Politics, News and Talk 1380 WAOK out of Atlanta, who's also running for a judge there. Also, Suzette Sparks, attorney and host of the Suzette Sparks Show out of Miami. Glad to have 3 of you here. Rebecca, I'll start with you. I mean, look, this battle in Louisiana, this is about power, it's about resources, it's about control. Republicans in that state, the last thing they want to do is lose a congressional seat. They're going to have to lose it because of the black population there. And again, we talk about this. This is why people need to understand the power of the black vote. Republicans desperately want to dilute the black vote in order to suppress our power.
Absolutely, Roland. Here's the thing. If Republicans actually presented a policy alternative to the Democratic Party, then maybe more black voters would decide to vote Republican instead of voting predominantly Democrat. I mean, that's the bottom line. But you know what's really interesting is also the backdrop of this. I think it was yesterday or the day before. There's been maneuvering to create to take some of the white areas of Baton Rouge and actually formalize and create a new community. So in essence, it is a bunch of white folks trying to secede from a majority Black Baton Rouge. So we understand that race is at the bottom of what's happening in Louisiana. And it's also what struck me is the specific description of 12 non-African American voters. So it's basically saying it's everybody else against Black folks. And that's what's happening in Louisiana. And like what you were saying earlier, I need Black voters in Louisiana to turn out to vote and to show out when they vote. Because when we look at some of the previous elections from last year, with looking at the governor's race, we saw the dismal number of Black voters who were actually eligible to vote in November's election not show up to vote. Then this is also what happens, because this is the environment, the political environment in Louisiana right now. It is extremely anti-Black. So even if Black voters don't like the two top people at the top of the ticket, there are many other things to vote for to stay a part of civic engagement, because ultimately that's going to be the only thing that's going to be able to move Louisiana forward.
Robert, we have seen this battle in Louisiana. We've seen it in Alabama, where there's a second Black district that has been created. We saw the lawsuit in Florida. We see, look, the same thing's happening in Georgia. And so this is a concerted effort by Republicans to deny Black representation in the South.
It's very clear that, and we knew this was going to happen after Shelby v. Holder. We knew this was going to happen after 50 years of attacks on the Voting Rights Act. And the truth is that this is why it's so important to have federal action on voting rights, not just to restore Section 4 and Section 2 and protect Section 5, but to expand those, because they're still based on measurements and qualifications set out in the 1960s. It needs to be expanded to what is affecting voters, what is affecting these new techniques and strategies happening right now. Otherwise, what we're going to see is a continuation of tyranny of the minority, where the white voters, being a minority of voters in America, are able to exercise an excise amount of political power by using gerrymandering, by using carving up districts, by using every political machination possible in order to dilute the votes of African Americans nationwide, and therefore push forward agendas that do not match the needs of the people in those states. Just think about it this way: if you look at, just go from South Carolina on down to Mississippi, you have some of the highest Black populations in the country. 35% South Carolina, 33% Georgia, 36% in Alabama, on down the line. But if you look at the lives of many African Americans in those states, if you look at the statewide elected officials, if you look at the people who actually run those states, very few of those states actually have demographics that match the populations of those voters. And that's because Republicans have used 50 years of schemes to dilute the Black vote and make it more difficult for representation to actually elect their leadership.
Suzette, we saw Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida destroy 2 districts, took it to the Supreme Court. The Republican Supreme Court ruled in his favor. Again, when folk don't vote, this is one of the ways that Republicans are able to get control of the state Supreme Court. They're able to get supermajorities in the legislature. And so this is why turnout is important to prevent that from happening. Guess what? You may not be able to get Democratic control of a particular state, but you can keep them from having a supermajority where they can do whatever they want without any interference from the opposing party.
Absolutely. This is our strongest tool, which is to get to the polls and make sure that we are holding the line. When you look at what's happening in Louisiana, as you stated, and even in my home state of Florida, they know that each and every congressional seat counts now with the split Congress that we have on the federal level. I agree with Robert that we need to see congressional action if we get control, or if Democrats get control of the Congress and we retain the presidency. There has to be some kind of reinforcement of the Voting Rights Act, or this will continue to happen. This is what happens when you can't win on issues and your platforms does not speak to the majority of the people in your state. You have to, in some ways, figure out a way to cheat and make a map that allows you to retain control. So our biggest weapon is to make sure we're coming out in the numbers that we have, particularly in the South, as Robert pointed out, in these states where, unfortunately, we're seeing, again, these games being played, but hopefully we'll have more fairness when it comes to the rulings of state courts and federal courts. But yeah, I think also looking at that story that Rebecca mentioned, it shocked me that we have, yet again, another predominantly white enclave in southeastern Baton Rouge that has now basically seceded from a predominantly black city so that they can retain monies for their own school board, and about $45 million in taxes will be removed now from Baton Rouge, which is again a predominantly black city. This is a trend, especially in Louisiana. Those voters there have to care enough to show up and try to hold the line.
You know, Rebecca, I sort of crack up, Rebecca, at some of these folks who say some of the dumbest stuff. I'm gonna read this text. It was sent out yesterday, and I'm not gonna waste my time even naming the idiot because that's exactly what he is. And this person is so desperate for attention. He's really an attention whore. So he always is trying to tweet about me at least every couple of months in order to gain some attention. And he goes, Roland Martin's loyalty to the Democratic Party is unproductive and unhealthy. See, the reason I find that to be hilarious is, one, I've never self-identified as a Democrat or Republican, but I'm not dumb. I can pay attention to what's happening in politics. I can pay attention to what's happening before us. This is very simple. When it comes to two parties, there are Democrats and Republicans, if I had to ask all three of you, which political party consistently is trying to deny black voters from being able to go to the ballot box and pick representatives of their choosing, which party will you say is the one that's constantly trying to stop black folks from being able to hold power?
You know, it's not even what I say; it's what they say.
Right. I'm just saying. So, Rebecca, which party?
It's the Republican Party.
Robert, hold on. Wait. Robert, which party?
Ditto.
Suzette, which party?
Republican Party.
Now, if we're talking about which party is in opposition to consistently to civil rights, Rebecca, which party?
It's the Republican Party.
Robert,
they put it in every filing.
I got it. Hold up, Robert.
Ditto.
Suzette.
Same.
Which party is an ardent opponent of teaching black history, despises and loves to promote CRT, and this party is actively trying to trash DEI and any advancement of programs that they believe benefit black people? Rebecca, which party?
Republican Party.
Robert, which party?
Ditto.
Suzette, which party?
Same.
Okay. So, if I had to look at those three issues, consistently, it's the Republican Party that is anti-black. Yet fools like this idiot and a bunch of these other YouTube, blabberers who love running their mouths, who always love to, oh man, you just shilling for the Democrats. It's what is so dumb is that if that's what their belief is, then they're simply MAGA people. They're simply supporting Republicans. And the bottom line is this here. It's the facts are the facts, Rebecca. The Republican Party is consistently targeting black people, targeting them at the ballot box, economically, when it comes to housing. We can go down the line. So if I have to make a decision on who I'm going to vote for, I'm probably not going to pick the anti-black party. Just saying.
Black voters are extremely pragmatic. The reason why we are extremely pragmatic, we understand our history with this country. And so now that we have, quote unquote, full rights with an asterisk, depending on the state, depending on felony status, depending on, all sorts of other political issues, Black people are exercising their right to vote in a pragmatic way. And so for people to say, well, Black people owe each party to have open mind towards each party, if each party is telling you, hey, I don't even want to entertain you, the other party is saying, hey, I will entertain you, then pragmatically, which is it A or is it going to be B? And so many Blacks who vote in this country are choosing path A, the Democratic Party. Is it because we think the Democratic Party is so good, or we think that the Democratic Party is pro-Black? No, but we understand that the Democratic Party is not anti-Black.
Yeah, it's just a fact. And Suzette, what really cracks me up when I listen to these people, when they're throwing these issues out, what literally makes no sense is that when you start talking about key policy positions, when you start talking about things that actually matter, you got a Republican Party that will say, oh, systemic racism doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They will literally defend the cops at every turn when Black folks are being beaten and shot. They'll make excuses for all of that. And so their positions are consistently anti-Black. It's just a fact. Suzette?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. When you look at, even when it comes to federal contracting, federal programs, funding of HBCUs, all of these things that affect Black lives every single day, when I think about them trying to remove, for example, in federal contracting, small business designations and small and minority business and women-owned business designations from that process as they're trying to attack DEI across the board, you just have to look again at the facts. There's nobody shilling for anyone. No one is being paid. No one is trying to promote a party for the sake of. We are looking at what policy issues are being supported on either side, and does it make sense to stop, riding this train and getting on the other train. At this point in time, post-MAGA, post-Donald Trump, and all the things that he has tried to do, and his acolytes, like our governor here in Florida, Ron DeSantis, has tried to do, when you look at policy for policy, destroying all DEI in higher education, here even at landmark universities like the University of Florida, FAMU, we're looking at where are we going to get funding for programs like the BSU, the Black Student Union. So across the board, they believe in I guess what they say, individual rights when it applies to them, or when they feel like it's protecting one group. But when it comes to your individual rights and mine, to be a fully enfranchised citizen, to have programs that reflect the entire tapestry of this country and even the history in terms of a corrective manner, they don't believe in it. So we can't play like we got real choices here, two real choices. So people have to wisen up. And I do think the Black electorate is looking very closely at what the policy positions are and will make the right decision.
I just think fundamentally, Robert, what you have here is you have a bunch of folks who follow some of the dumbest people I've ever seen, and a lot of them are a few Black men who are grossly ill-informed, and their whole attitude is Democrats haven't done jack, so therefore they're trash, they're terrible, they're awful. But then I go, okay, but so what are the things that you actually want? And please show me which Republican is going to support those and how you're going to get it passed. And that's what you see. And so what I try to explain to people is this ain't, oh, I love this party. I don't love parties. I don't love people. I love policies. I love things that impact our people. Now, I could be like some other Black people and only care about my economic well-being. If that's the case, sure, go ahead and go with Trump. Go ahead and get your tax cuts. Go ahead and get your corporate tax stuff. I could go for that because as a business owner, that's going to personally benefit me. Does that help my people? Nope. Does it help my nieces and nephews? Nope. Does it help my cousins and my family and people I grew up with? Nope. And what I need our folks to understand is we have got to understand what's short-term and long-term. We have to understand, even in this case here, the two judges that rule against Louisiana, Trump appointees, the one judge, was a Democrat appointee. Even when you look at decisions by judges, typically federal judges that are going to rule in favor of things that black people care about are likely not going to be Republican judges. These are just facts. And folk who love to get caught up in these games, Robert, what they're doing is they are leading black people astray, and they're not explaining to black people what is going to be the benefit of us staying at home and sitting on the couch. I'm trying to win for our people, not try to win clicks like this idiot here. Robert, final comment before I go to break.
Well, I think also people have to think about elections as not simply being this question of the presidential level and what goes on in Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, very little of what goes on in your life is dictated by Washington, D.C. State and local elections matter just as much, if not significantly more. And if you're staying at home, when it comes down to the election of who's going to be the prosecutor, who's going to be the DA, who's going to be your judge, who's going to be your mayor, who's going to be your county commissioner, you can't complain about the potholes in front of your house either. You can't talk about the lack of food in your neighborhoods because there's a food desert because your councilman or your wardsman didn't zone for that. You can't talk about the lack of economic development in your community because you weren't at those MPO meetings or those meetings that happen downtown in the middle of the day on a Tuesday where they decide the future. So beyond simply saying, well, I do or don't like Trump or Biden, think about what's happening on the state and local level. Those little marijuana laws that get people locked up on the regular basis, those are decided on the local level. Whether or not you're going to have a justice system that believes in restorative justice versus one that believes in locking everybody up, that happens on the local level. So I beseech people, please, if you don't care about the local elections, if you think there's no difference between the parties, there are differences at your local level. Get involved in local politics. We are already in primary season in places like Maryland and Georgia. Get out there, vote early, make sure you're motivating people to vote all the way down the ballot.
Indeed. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. The protests on college campuses across the country are continuing. They're being met with a vicious reaction from law enforcement and administrators. We'll talk about that next with Rula Jebreal on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment. A lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. And look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSmartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shibori pocket square or the custom-made pocket square. Again, RolandSmartin.com/pocket squares. Go there now.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Go. Folks, protests led by pro-Palestinian college students continue to break out at colleges and universities across the nation. UCLA canceled classes today after overnight demonstrations turned violent when pro-Israeli students also attacked pro-Palestinian students. In New York, protesters broke into Columbia University's Hamilton Hall and barricaded themselves. NYPD then stormed the campus, arrested 119 people, and due to the unrest on the campus, students took their final exams remotely. The pro-Palestinian protests are demanding that their schools divest funds from Israeli military operations. Jewish students called the protest anti-Semitic and said they fear for their safety. Rula Jebreal is an award-winning journalist, visiting professor, joins us from New York. Glad to have you here. First and foremost, I talked about this the other night, and I've been watching all of this coverage, and I've been watching the framing of this. And we're at a point now where people are literally saying that if you are protesting against Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If you're protesting for your school to divest, you're anti-Semitic. A person could actually be against war and not be anti-Semitic. What do you make on how that is the framing where everything, any criticism of Israel and its actions in its battle against Hamas can be deemed anti-Semitic?
Roland, thank you for having me on this very troubling day for America's democracy. Let's start by saying that the attempt to criminalize anti-war protesters, who, by the way, many of whom are Jewish. The leading organization behind these protests, it's called Jewish Voices for Peace. You have Jewish professors, Jewish scholars, Jewish academics who are backing this. I myself interviewed Jason Stanley, who is Jewish himself, who teaches at Yale. And he himself agrees with you and me, who we need to not conflate anti-Israel government criticism of Israeli government actions and criminality with anti-Semitism. These are two separate things. But there's a clear attempt by many in Congress, many sadly in the media, to conflate anti-war activism with anti-Semitism. This is so dangerous because it plays into the hand of real anti-Semites. The people who marched on Charlottesville said, Jews will not replace us, blood and soil. Those people are anti-Semitic. The people who are marching saying, divest from the war, don't arm Israel, stop the war in Gaza, stop slaughtering civilians, children and women, and stop mass starvation, those people are activists who want the war to stop. They're not against Jewish people, actually many of whom are Jewish. They're against the war, but also they're against their own government bankrolling that atrocity in Gaza.
When I saw the action last night, and I look at the coverage and the number of reporters who said they had never seen that type of aggressive stance taken by law enforcement. We saw what Texas thuggish Governor Greg Abbott did when he ignored the Austin Police Department, instead calling in Texas state troopers to deal with unrest there. I saw there was a video. We saw what happened to Professor at Vanderbilt. There was another video I saw of a professor who was literally being punched and beaten by police and security, and he suffered broken ribs. And doctors said he's lucky to be alive. And if you see the video, he actually didn't provoke a cop or hit anybody. And so when you see law enforcement, they basically have the permission of political leaders to beat folks as they see fit.
Yes, and I heard Prime Minister Netanyahu, who 2 days ago, this is the guy that actually normalized fascists around the world, from Viktor Orban to Donald Trump to many others, is saying that these students are basically reminiscent from the 30s, the Nazis. He's calling them Nazis. Israeli and American politicians are calling them terrorists. We have our colleagues calling these peaceful protesters who are 20 years old, who are our kids' age, are entitled to protest a war and their government complicity with the war. They're calling them pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, pro-terrorist. They're calling them terrorists. I am terrified because I know where this is going to lead. Somebody will get killed. Somebody will be hurt. And they'll have the whole country on fire. I mean, we already see a looming threat of a second Trump, election. And then the Democratic Party that's supposed to defend democracy, free speech, and free assembly is the one consistently enabling not only the police, unleashing police violence, enabling Netanyahu and his government, who, by the way, simultaneously, you have two ministers, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, who are calling to annihilate, to destroy completely Gaza, and Ben-Gvir calling to shoot Palestinian civilians because prisons are overwhelmed with numbers. They arrested 9,000 Palestinians, on some of them without any charge, by the way. 3,000 that are sitting there on what they call administrative detention. And he said, well, we're overwhelmed. The police system, the prison system is overwhelmed. Maybe we should kill some of them. He called the IDF, the military, and said, why are you arresting too many people? You should kill some of them. There's so many. So you have a really fascist regime in the occupied territories, not only in Gaza, also in the West Bank, against Palestinians. And then you're seeing here our democratic governors, president, and law enforcement criminalizing and inciting against these young students simply because they are questioning policies that we know will not guarantee the security of either the United States or Israelis. Dismantling.
Go ahead.
Please.
Go ahead.
And by doing so, we need to understand this urgently. Either we divest immediately from imperialism, ethno-nationalism, and militarism, or we get fascism here in America. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have a democracy while enabling illegality with a military occupation and basically colonial state and colonial state, and think this will not come back to haunt you. What's happening in Gaza will not stay in Gaza. The streets of America are on fire for a reason, because people feel betrayed by this administration that failed them on the one thing they voted this administration for, to defend America's democracy here at home and overseas.
I saw this tweet here by Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary. Go to my iPad, Henry. He says, the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville was reprehensible, but it ended in 2 days. What's happening now on college campuses is worse. It's been happening for weeks with no end in sight. It's based on hatred toward Jews in America. Where is Biden? Biden, the hypocrite, is silent. Well, first off, let's be clear. A woman was killed in Charlottesville. A woman was killed. Nobody has been
peaceful protester.
Yeah, a peaceful protester. Heather Heyer. Nobody's been killed in these college protests. But the other thing is this here. This tagging of Biden. Where is Biden? He's being a hypocrite. First of all, this protests on college campuses are first the responsibility of university administrators. 2, mayors of cities. 3, governors. So to try to act like, oh, Biden is your fault. No, we understand the hierarchy, and what you have here, again, you have this constant battle that we're seeing, and I was on the plane yesterday flying back, and I was talking to a gentleman, and he was complaining about the protest, and first thing I said was, hold up, why are they protesting? I said not this overarching. I said no. I said you have to. I said how I operate is. I asked, why is somebody protesting? And I said, if you look at these protests, many of them, they've given the reasons why they're protesting. But folk don't want to focus on the why. They want to establish, I believe, unfortunately, and I keep seeing a lot of this, these other narratives where it's, no, I think this is why they're protesting. No, you have to ask the very people why they are protesting.
And Roland, by the way, this is not you. You and I protested the Iraq War. And probably you protested for civil rights in the United States. I protested for civil rights everywhere in Europe. We were called agitators. We were called pro-terrorists. When we protested against the Iraq war on the basis that it was wrong, it will unleash instability and radicalization, we were called pro-Saddam Hussein, pro-Al-Qaeda, etc. So again and again, they use this language of division and hatred. And I see even ADL. I mean, I see ADL calling these students, basically inciting us and calling them pro-Hamas and pro-Hezbollah. You will get these students killed by doing that. And our Fleischer said nothing when Trump defended the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville and called them very fine people after they killed Heather Heyer. I mean, we need to remember who he worked for and who he lobbied for. And once again, I think we should stop using and weaponizing anti-Semitism to protect Netanyahu's government, who have no problem endorsing, normalizing the likes of Viktor Orban, who have no problem that Donald Trump dine and wine with real neo-Nazis and anti-Semitic people. I mean, it's time to call the hypocrisy, but also it's time to stand up for these students' rights, because if we manage to crush these students and alienate them, we lost the future. We lost the next generation. If we cannot give these students at least the respect to listen to what their demands are, and not only listen to them, to take into the consideration the people who are risking their lives, so that America is not seen by the rest of the world as enabling atrocities in Gaza, then we are not only America's reputation is being damaged, is being eroded. Democracy itself is on the line. If you believe in these things, you need to start now, cutting any tie with this government in Israel, not defend them at the United Nations, but also stop threatening the International Court of Justice, who is trying to do their job in holding Israel accountable. You cannot have democracy without accountability. You cannot have democracy without free speech. You cannot have democracy by enabling an ethno-colonial, racist state. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot say, well, our foreign policy can be racist and can be militarist and can be rogue and lawless, but here in America, we are different. You cannot demand that these students respect the rule of law here while you're yourself violating every law of war in Gaza and beyond.
Questions from panel. Robert, you first.
On this point, what we're seeing is that students around the country, these probably are the biggest student protests we've seen since Kent State and during the 1960s. But what do you think will be the very clear policy proposals to come out of this that the Biden administration can respond to? One, we have the issue of the continuation of military sales to Israel. We have the lack of humanitarian aid. We have the failures to call for a ceasefire in the UN. But what we've seen thus far is that the calls that President Biden has made to Netanyahu have gone unheeded. What exactly should we're going to crystallize what the students are asking for into some concise points. What do you think they should be? And will Netanyahu even listen to those?
Whether Netanyahu listen or not, it's not about Netanyahu anymore. It's about the United States itself. We have democracy on the line. We have the looming threat of a second Trump presidency. What are you offering American voter for the next elections? What is the vision that you have? Can Biden with straight face stand there and say, I'm defending democracy here at home and overseas, while actually knowing very well that his State Department said Israel violating the Leahy law, an American law. And despite knowing that, he bypassed Congress and authorized the selling of weapons to the Israelis that are being used to butcher women and children. 14,000 children died, were killed, slaughtered in 4 months. If we don't stop this mass slaughter and mass starvation, and the only way to stop it is stop arming Netanyahu's government, stop basically bullying and intimidating the International Court of Justice and National Criminal Court, who are investigating war crimes, by the way, from Hamas and the Israelis. And they want a process of accountability. And thirdly, stop enabling and defending the military dictatorship Israel imposed and been imposing for almost 60 years on Palestinians. They couldn't impose that dictatorship without America's support, financial support, diplomatic support, and shielding them in the courts, but also shielding them at the United Nations. Every UN resolution was vetoed by the United States. It's time to stop vetoing resolution when you know that this is actually not only wrong, this is actually producing extremism, radicalization, instability, and eroding your own democracy.
Rebecca?
Thank you so much for being here tonight. So in the early 1960s, we saw a lot of students on campus and off campus protesting segregation. In the late 1960s, we saw college students protesting against the Vietnam War. In the 1980s, we saw students protesting against apartheid in South Africa. 2003, we saw students protesting against the Iraqi War. 2011, we saw students protesting against with the Occupy Wall Street movement. So now, in of the current protests that are happening across the country, we're also seeing states starting to impose the criminalization of the right to protest. What trajectory do you see for America if America continues down this path in creating in making it if America continues to criminalize young people and all people, quite frankly, from their right to protest?
Authoritarianism, fascism, and it always starts by trying not only to criminalize, to unleash violence, state violence. We've seen a glimpse of it yesterday in UCLA. And by the way, it was only peaceful protesters on the pro-Palestinian side or anti-war side, and the pro-Israelis were not only violent, they were chanting genocidal chants against Palestinians, calling for Nakba. These are the same things that I grew up under in the occupied territories. As a teen, I would go to the occupied territory, Ramallah, and in the West Bank to teach kids whose schools was destroyed by the army. And we would put blankets on the dirt just to teach kids how to read and write. And very often will be assaulted by terrorists, by Jewish Israeli terrorists, many of whom came from the United States, and they will basically beat the children, terrorize people, and kill them with the protection of the police and with the protection of the army. These scenes you can see everywhere in the occupied territories. They are trying to import that kind of models to the United States. It's not a coincidence that the mayor of New York, Adam, said that he will be bringing from Israel the experience he learned as a police person. Look at how the police treat Palestinians, Black people like all of us. If any of us would walk in the streets in the West Bank, they will think you're Palestinians like me, and probably you would be targeted exactly like any Palestinians. When Ta-Nehisi Coates went to the occupied territories, they kept asking him, "What religion are you? What faith do you belong to?" And he kept telling them, I am. They wanted to know if he was a Muslim. When he told them that he was atheist, basically, he wasn't religious, they were confused, but they insisted because it's an ethno-national state. It's a state that if you are Jewish and Jewish only, then you have protection of the law. If you are a Palestinian, Muslim or Christian, and you happen to be actually also Black, then you are subject to the law, that you are under the boot of the military dictatorship. And one of the things that is most shocking, when Ethiopian Jews arrived in Israel, many of whom were were sterilized without knowing they were sterilized, and the state admitted later that they were sterilizing them. They were giving them injection Reprovera, so they could not make children. Because ultimately, not only the issue of religion, there's an issue also of race and skin tone. And we need to tell these truths. They're hard truth to hear for many American Jews who have a myth about Israel, but the reality on the ground is something else. It's an ethno-nationalist, and you see a glimpse of it already being imported to the United States.
Suzette?
Yes, Brother Roland. I, too, stayed up last night watching the news coverage of what was going on in Colombia and sadly witnessing Mayor Adams send in troops onto a college campus. I want to ask our guest, as we have been kind of hearing this co-opted narrative about outside agitators, how do you think that is actually diluting the message when it comes to what the students actually want, because as you stated, the vast majority of students have been peacefully, and even on the pro-Israel side, you were actually seeing some agitators there. I want to actually go into what the administration of these colleges and universities should be doing to address what is actually happening. As Robert stated, they might be looking for, the student protesters might be looking for the Biden administration to act, but I don't know that I've seen any headlines as to the administration at these respective universities actually coming up with a plan to sit down and address the students' desires. What do you think the administration's role should be? And do you think we'll see more of the model we saw last night of city police and state police coming in to address student protesters? And what does that do to their free speech rights? But what do you think the actual administration of these colleges should be doing when it comes to what the students' demands are?
Really, before you answer that, I'll say this here. I'm familiar with the negotiations that were happening with Columbia. And Rula, one of the problems that actually was there is that they were so decentralized that you didn't have any hierarchy. And so you had different people who were negotiating with different student groups. And so part of the problem is that there were concessions that were offered. Jelani Cobb, a dean of the Columbia School of Journalism, was one of the two folks who was negotiating. Reverend Mark Thompson was involved as well. And so part of the issue is that, okay, on some of these campuses, the key is, who are you talking to? Who can you actually negotiate with? And so that was one of the issues, I think, with the Columbia students, is that there were so many different factions. You didn't actually have, a clear leadership, if you will, in order to deal with as a part of the negotiation. Go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. They're brilliant. One thing I want to report, and I think it's very important to know, Brown University decided yesterday, after a negotiation with the students, that they would vote if they would divest from investing with any armed companies in October. They will vote. People will have right to vote, yes or no. And guess what? Protest was over. There is no incumbent. It's over. The inability of President Shafiq of Columbia University not only to listen, but to engage. And I believe the first action that she took, she is very loyal to her donors. She is terrified and she wants to keep her job. This is the woman that during the Arab Spring, by the way, said, we don't need more freedoms for Arabs. We need more economic opportunities, meaning we want charity, not liberty, which is, I find it ironic that this is the woman leading this organization. She was at the London School of Economics. She has a track record of basically, whitewashing authoritarianism and saying, yeah, give them some food, give them some water. It's no different than DeSantis, who said slavery was created some opportunities. I cannot hear these things without thinking of the racism and also the delusion behind the mindset of these people. So I think there's groups of people that she decided immediately to expel to save her job. And basically, probably she was pressured, but trustees and donors and others who rather hold these kids accountable than listen to them or divest. They don't want to divest from the armed companies. They don't want to be viewed as conceding to these young students. So I think we have a long way. And again, we need to remember what happens when you start inciting against young people. When Donald Trump started inciting against media organizations, I want to remind everybody that somebody took a gun and went to the Maryland Gazette and killed 5 people. I fear for the lives of these young students. Sooner or later, these lynching mob, these thugs, pro-Israeli thugs, will get someone killed because they believe that these people are terrorists. They believe they are the enemy. They believe what Ari is writing, that they hate America and they hate Jews, which is a lie. And we need to push back against these lies. Look at every student was arrested. 1,300 students were arrested. A lot of them are Jewish. But nobody is talking about the fact that the Jewish community in America is divided between who believe that Bibi Netanyahu has a right to exterminate Palestinians and those who believe that it's dangerous that is reckless that he would use mass slaughter and mass starvation. I believe that what he's doing is against Jewish values, but we need to stop talking about the issue out of fear, because we need to engage in a serious way about anti-Semitism, but also anti-Black people racism and anti-Muslim and Arabs and Islamophobia. I mean, I want protection for all students, whether they protest in Charlottesville or they protest in UCLA or protest in Texas. They might say things that I am uncomfortable with, but they have the right to say it. What I am not comfortable with, police storming campus, beating professors and students and brutalizing them. You know, by the way, these images have been circulating in Iran, in China, in Russia, and say, we don't want America ever to lecture us about free speech or about Hong Kong protesters or how to manage our own affairs, because they lost their credibility. What they're doing, it's not only playing on national media, and we have this conversation. Regimes around the world are looking at the United States, and they cannot believe that to protect Netanyahu's government, the most discredited prime minister, they're willing to erode America's own democracy at home.
Rula, we appreciate your perspective. Always glad to have you on, and look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much. Please thank your amazing contributors, and I love always to be with you. And let's continue this, because what's coming will be, I fear what's coming is even worse. Thank you.
All right, then. Also, happy belated birthday as well. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, we come back. Non-disclosure agreements now banned. What happens now with the relationship between employers and employees? Also, we'll take a look at some of the fun that took place at Monday's George Lopez, 17th annual George Lopez Celebrity Golf Classic. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Your contributions play a crucial role in us being able to do what we do every single day. And so you can join the Bring the Funk fan club by sending your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal are Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Don't forget to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And don't forget to get a copy of my book, The White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Download your copy on Audible. We'll be right back.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I was just in my backyard. I was manifesting about life. I said, I would love to come back because it was a great time, and these kids need that right now. They need that male role model in the schools, I think. Even on TV. Because people are scared to go into the high school. The high school, you know what I mean? I would love to bring it back, and I think we can bring it back. What do you think? I think we'll ask the people. I would ask your people.
We'll do a poll. Y'all want to hang him, Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, I say, let's go. We all look good. Holly looked good. Raven looked the same. Marquise, Don Lewis. It'd be funny to have the bullshit you see out there on TV now. God damn. What the fuck? What happened to TV? Damn.
It's some...
I'm like, oh my God.
What's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, an air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, non-disclosure agreements were outlawed or banned last week by the federal non-compete agreements by the Federal Trade Commission. And this is a huge deal. A lot of people don't realize in a number of industries, especially in media, this is one. And so now the question is, what are companies going to do? Now, we also expect there to be lawsuits, but this is a major, major deal that companies are going to have to now think differently, but also employees. HR business partner also. She is of course, big-time expert. Laren Wagner joins us. She's been on the show before. Glad to have her here. This is, people don't realize the number of folks impacted. Some 30 million Americans are impacted by these no-compete deals. You got some folks, I know, for instance, in television, some people can't work for 6 months to a year with a competitor across town. And so this is going to really change employment contracts for a lot of people in a lot of companies.
Good to be here with you again today, Roland. But yes, absolutely. It not only impacts the ability for someone to find another job, but it also impacts their earnings, their potential earnings. And so it's definitely a big thing to have something like this happen in our world today. So,
so moving forward, how do you see companies dealing with this? Because obviously you have trade secrets, but some of these things were crazy. I mean, we told a story about a guy who was a security guard making $11 an hour who had to sign a non-compete, and he couldn't apply for another job that was paying him $15 an hour. That to me is crazy. But when you start talking about senior executives, this is going to change how companies have to hire folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now companies are going to be forced to find a different way to not only protect their competition, but they also are going to have to find another way to protect their intellectual property, like you said, their trade secrets as well. And the big question is how are they going to do that now? Now that non-competes are no longer, have been banned by the FTC.
So what would you say, again, to employees moving forward, how they have to navigate this? Because look, companies are going to come up with something to contend with this if they no longer can do non-competes.
Yeah. So what I would recommend to anyone is that no matter what happens, if your company tries to find another way to enforce something similar, now that this is actually happening, I would always recommend, hey, be on top of it, challenge what doesn't seem right to you, know your rights, consult with an attorney, be ready to do all of those things because it's coming. I don't think many companies have had time to figure it out yet, but I think where companies will have to adjust is in their hiring practices because, like you said, you have the media industry, you have non-competes that are in the marketing industry, sales industry, big time, that prevent people from, it really restricts where people can get a job. And so companies are going to have to change a little bit about their hiring practices to try to mitigate this risk that they're ultimately going to be in. What that looks like, I don't know, but I'm curious to see how that will go.
Questions from my panel. Suzette, you're first.
Yes, this is so interesting to me because in the legal field, we have these, my cousins who are other professionals, dentists, audiologists, they have non-compete clauses. So as we look at the changes that are about to take place, I know it excludes very top CEOs of very large companies, but how can companies, I think, go about protecting themselves? I think the FTC has laid out a framework that encourages this because of new startups that will happen, the savings on healthcare and other things now that people can go get jobs and just work wherever they want to. As a small business owner myself, do you think this will have a cooling effect on maybe training and mentorship and things that will normally occur very early on when it comes to new hires? Or how do you think the employers will try to mitigate some of these risks?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's probably going to happen, and again, this is just going off of what I know so far, employers are probably going to look for a different type of avenue to take in order to protect their trade secrets. And also, they're probably going to come up with different ways to share information I feel like when you're onboarding into a new role, especially when you're in sales or in marketing, they want to get you up and running as soon as possible. This ban on non-competes may change a lot of that. It may even change how employers go about. It may change how the level of information employers go about sharing. It might make jobs more challenging because now an employee may be forced to learn more about their role on their own so that they have some skin in the game and not so much of it coming from employers as far as leads. We look at systems that realtors, not only realtors, but those in the sales industry and marketing industry use, such as like systems that generate leads. How readily available will that be now that this has happened? So I think there are several tools in place that companies will likely try to utilize to get around an actual non-compete agreement.
Robert.
This is one of those things that always sounds great as soon as we hear it come down the pipelines, but then we start thinking about some of the negative externalities that may come from this. As you said, kind of a chilling effect on the jobs market, as people aren't going to want to disclose to you their trade secrets or their techniques that they use, knowing that you can leave tomorrow and take it to their competitor across the street. What do you think is going to be kind of the long-term legislative backlash, as it would be against it, or ways that they may start curtailing this in? Because I think all of us can think of off the top of our head like a million ways that this could turn into an exploit that will result in people simply not wanting to hire new folks and keeping things very close to the vest in-house, only hiring friends and neighbors and kids, and kind of increasing that nepotism system. Because why am I going to teach you how to go get rich and you take it to the guy across the street and there's nothing I can do to stop you?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question you asked. So I think, again, there's going to be a shift in how information is rolled out and shared with employees. Another thing I feel companies are going to do is, we have states where non-competes already aren't a thing, such as, well, of course, the state of California, I believe North Dakota, Oklahoma. Companies will start to probably dig deeper into what organizations in those pockets of the region are doing so that they can understand, hey, how have you guys been making it without non-competes and things like that? So I think that's something that's going to happen. I can't really tell how long, from the research that I've done, how long this will actually be a thing or if this is something that will be temporary. But it's definitely something that's going to shift our industry or the employment industry.
Rebecca.
Market.
I think this non-compete agreement ban is a good thing because I think this actually supports workers and it also understands how modern our job marketplace has become, especially with the increase of remote workers, especially with some of these non-competes that restrict people based on geography. So if you are a remote worker, as long as you're in one of the lower 48, then if you have a non-compete that also has some geographic implications, then it kind of becomes a little bit crazy for the workers. So I guess my question is, in what ways do you think employers will have to step up to be more competitive in their offerings for employees to actually want to stay at that particular company?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I want to go back to something that you mentioned. You mentioned the remote work. And so that is a major risk too when it comes to talking about non-competes. And so employers are going to have to step their game up. This may have an impact. I believe it will have an impact if I was to predict the impact that this has on remote work, because now that you have non-competes that have been banned, you now have workers who will be able to work for the competition. And so there's already been an eye on remote workers who are, some would say, double dipping. They're working 2 full-time jobs at home. And I have seen that and I've heard about that many times. So you now have that creates a risk for remote workers who are doing 2 of the same jobs at home because there is no non-compete. So that's a risk there. And then, so companies will have to probably tighten up their hiring, tighten up their reporting. They may have to I think companies will come up with a different type of agreement that may not be titled a non-compete or even an NDA, but there will be something in place that will position employees before they're hired to not be able to carry out what they would carry out if they were to have a non-compete in place. So I think employers are going to find other ways. Hey, you have to now disclose if you have more than one job. That's a way that it can look like that. Or tighter. I think there will be a tighter view on, it could even be the technology used. Like, what are you using my work computer for when you're working at home? Are you only working for my company, or are you using my computer, our systems, to work for other companies? I mean, there are so many different things out there, and there's still a lot more information to come, given that this has just happened, I believe April 23rd. So I look forward to understanding more about that, as well as your question as well.
All right, then. Well, Aaron, we certainly appreciate it. It's a new landscape when it comes to the marketplace, so lots of stuff to navigate. And I'm sure this is going to keep you HR folks real busy.
Very busy. Absolutely.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye.
Folks, we come back. Kristen Clarke, who hit the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, makes a personal reveal after being forced to by conservatives. I'll tell you about it when we come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie of A Balanced Life. Think about the men in your life and ask yourself these questions. Who are their male role models? Who can they turn to for advice to learn about what manhood is all about? On our next show, we talk about why male mentoring is so important to men of all ages. Actor Dondre Whitfield leads an all-star cast and panel to answer these and many other probing questions.
A woman can't teach you how to be something that she's not.
That's on the next A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie on Black Star Network.
First, President Barack Obama's road to the White House. We got about 500 copies of the book available. And so this actually is all of the coverage of the 2008 election. But the other thing is this here. I talked to folks like Malik Yoba, Hill Harper, Erica Alexander, Kevin Lau, Spike Lee, Tatiana Ali. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in here as well, where I talked about some of the stuff that went down at CNN. Also, when you go through here, a lot of the photos that you see in here, photos that I actually shot, photos that were my time at CNN. And so what I decided to do, because one, I published the book and I own it myself, is that so I said, you know what, I'm going to slash the price to $10. And so we're going to have shipping and handling, $5.99. I'm going to personally autograph every copy. I'm not reprinting the book. So once we are sold out of these 500, that's it. They're gone. So you can go to RolandSMartin.com/the-first to get a copy of this book. Everybody who orders this book through the website, not on Amazon, only through RolandSMartin.com, I will personally autograph and mail you a copy of this book. It's all of the coverage, the actual interviews that I did with him. And just to show you, of course, when it came out, there's actually even in here the interviews that I did with him and Michelle Obama, which won TV One Cable Network's its first 2 NAACP Image Awards. And so all of that for $10. Shipping and handling is $5.99. So go to RolandSMartin.com/the-first and order your copy today.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC, sitting here representing the JODECI, that's Jodeci, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Kristen Clarke, who heads the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, revealed a deeply personal statement today that she was the victim of years-long domestic abuse. Her statement came after a conservative website uncovered an incident in 2006 involving her and her then husband that led to her being arrested. This is what she released. Nearly 2 decades ago, I was subjected to years-long abuse and domestic violence at the hands of my ex-husband. This was a terrorizing and traumatizing period that I have sought to put behind me to promote my personal health, healing, and well-being. The physical and emotional scars, the emotional abuse and exploitation, and the lying are things that no woman or mother should ever have to endure. I have spent my career standing up to protect and safeguard the rights of crime victims, including victims of domestic violence and gender-based violence. I bring to the work the personal experience and perspective of being a survivor of domestic violence, as I've done at every stage of my career. As a lifelong public servant, I will continue working to ensure that we carry out our work in a way that centers the experiences and needs of crime victims. When given the option to speak about such traumatic incidents in my life. I have chosen not to. I didn't believe during my confirmation process, and I don't believe now that I was obligated to share a fully expunged matter from my past. Clark says she chose not to disclose her expungement arrest record from that period in her life during her Senate confirmation process. Now, she was asked that question by Senator Tom Cotton. Since then, Senator Mike Lee of Utah has said that she was not forthcoming in her confirmation hearing, so therefore she should resign. I disagree. The reality is Kristen Clarke has done an amazing job leading the Civil Rights Division, and the bottom line is, as she said, her record was expunged. Now, the issue here is what happens going forward. Suzette, what she lays out is that because the record was expunged, essentially, when she was asked the question in 2021, there was no need for her to say that because expungement means it didn't exist. Your thoughts?
Well, as a legal professional here who does not practice criminal law, I've seen something like this very similar here in Florida. In Broward County, the first African-American sheriff, Sheriff Gregory Toney, is also being attacked by conservatives for a very similar reason. He had an issue that was expunged while he was a student at FSU, and they're claiming that when he filled out paperwork to run and in other documentation since, that the question that was posed asked, have you ever been arrested? He placed no, and in his scenario, he ended up shooting someone during that altercation and was therefore arrested. He says that he has responded truthfully, and there have been several attempts made here in Florida to try to remove him from office based on him saying no or checking the no box. In this case, looking at the facts, again, Kristen Clarke has had an extraordinary career. She led the Civil Rights Division for the state of New York in the Attorney General's office. She was tapped by President Biden in 2021 to lead the federal division there in the Attorney General office of the United States. And she has been doing, as you stated, an extraordinary job at her position. Hence why many critics of what has now she has now had to address feel as if this is a political ploy to try to discredit her and to ultimately get her to resign. Looking at what her statement says, that she believed because it was expunged, she did not have to disclose. Again, I'm not sure, quite frankly, because I haven't seen any resolution here in the state of Florida for Sheriff Toney. This keeps coming back and coming back. And as she stated, she fully believed that this was within her right to state that no, she was not arrested. The question was very specific. Have you ever been arrested since being a legal adult? And the answer for her, again, as it often occurs in domestic violence cases, oftentimes both parties, no matter who's at fault or who was the aggressor, are arrested. So I think I would like to say the jury is still out. I don't know what the Senate rules or the congressional rules are around this as far as what recourse they would have, and maybe there will be some sort of administrative hearing that will ultimately decide. But I do think this was kind of like a fishing expedition, as I do think in the case here in Florida with Sheriff Gregory Toney. They are looking for and they are trying to find ways to discredit very competent leadership that happens to also be African American. So I am not 100% sure that she was in her right because the rules is.
Well, first of all, there's no administrative hearing, so there's no such thing that has to take place. Bottom line is, it is really up to you. They can put the pressure on. They can make a big deal out of this if they want to, Robert. But the reality is, I think they will look like idiots trying to go after Kristen Clarke for this because of something that was deeply personal. And as she says it was expunged, so therefore she didn't have to reveal. Your thoughts?
She's absolutely correct. And this goes to the plight of African Americans who have served sentences, for example, who have had their records expunged, who still apply for jobs. And even though we have now banned having to check the box, they're still denied employment. Often they're denied benefits around the country. You're never truly free as African Americans in this country, which is why we need to put the types of reforms in place that protect not just Kristen Clarke, but everyday people who go through these situations. And I find it amazing. These same same individuals who wanted to go after Kristen Clarke for something which is so deeply rooted in her past and so painful, but will still support somebody who's currently on trial, who's been convicted, let's say, of grabbing people by the in a dressing room, who owes various states millions, if not $500 million. Those criminal matters do not have any impact. But something that happened to a woman that's very relatable to millions of women around this country, you still try to put this around her neck to let her know she is still less than and not accepted by the good old boys club. And they will come after anything if they think there's something they can use to disqualify or discredit an African American who's trying to ascend to a higher position. In my race for judge, for example, they tried to get me disqualified. I'm not making this up, because of my email address. That's how you know when you're doing a good job, when they have to come at, they can't beat you on the balls and strikes, so they have to start going after the referees.
Well, I really don't give a damn what Senator Mike Lee has to say, Rebecca. This is the same person who voted against the Violence Against Women Act. So he has no credibility, as far as I'm concerned, on any of this.
This is real nasty work. This has nothing to do with the performance that Kristen Clarke is doing. She is performing phenomenally in her role at Justice. But I will say this about both Mike Lee and Tom Cotton. They have things in their past that they don't want to see the light of day, so they ought to tread carefully here.
All right, then. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Byron Allen makes some cuts at the Grio. We'll tell you about that and the impact on Black-owned media. That is next. Plus, Isaac Hayes III. We talk about artificial intelligence and its impact in the music business. Plus, I'll share some fun stuff that took place at the George Lopez Celebrity Golf Classic on Monday. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support us at what we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash out, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. A lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. Now look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shibori pocket square or the custom-made pocket square. Again, RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. Go there now.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, the axe is falling at Byron Allen's The Grio. Several people have been laid off in their podcast and video teams, including their managing editor, Christy Oglesby. This is the statement the company released. Allen Media is making a strategic change to better position the company for growth that will result in expense and workforce reductions across all divisions. Now, Allen Media acquired The Grio in 2016. Among those cuts, they've ended all their different shows except one involving Teray. So Mark Lamont Hill, who had a daily show, airing around 6 p.m. On The Grio. That show has been canceled. They hadn't even had the show. It hasn't aired for the last 3 weeks. Ebony Williams had a show that followed Mark. Her show has also been canceled as well. Now, remember, Byron Allen purchased the assets of Black News Channel for $11 million, buying up the distribution. He then used that to launch the Grio TV. And so those shows are being canceled. And if you look at the Black-owned media landscape, other than what we do here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network, that was the only daily shows on any Black-owned media outlet. And so if you look at right now, if you look at the linear cable networks, you look at TV One, you look at Revolt, you look at Afro Channel, you look at which those are all Black-owned, Clio TV, TV One owns them as well. There are no daily news shows on those platforms. Even if you look at Revolt has a weekly show, you look at BET, they've got a monthly magazine show. That's all they have there, and so it's really just us. Ebony has nothing, Essence has nothing, Blavity has nothing, Black Enterprise has nothing, and you can look across the board. And the bottom line is this here, folks. Look, having a daily show absolutely matters that speaks to our issues. I had a weekly show at TV One. I can tell you it was very difficult having a weekly show and trying to cram in all the stuff that happened on a weekly basis into that one show. When we launched, we had the show for 4 years on TV One from 2009 to 2013. And then from 2013 to 2017, we launched News One Now, which was a daily show. And so these things absolutely matter. I reached out to Byron Allen, sent him a text yesterday, also Geraldine Moriba, who is one of the executives at The Grio. Did not hear from either one of them. Wanted to get a statement from them with regards to these shows ending. But it is unfortunate that is the case. But I can tell you right now, we're continuing what we're doing right here. Faraji Muhammad, who he ended his daily show with us. He took a job as a producer for Tavis Smiley's show on his network. We ended D Barnes' show on the Black Star Network, but we continue with our other shows. They continue, and look, and we're going to stay focused. For everybody to understand, this show is profitable. This is what we do. We understand how to do this show. Our goal is to generate more advertising revenue from advertisers. We're trying to make that happen, but we plan on not going anywhere. Speaking to the issues that matter, and the thing that people have to understand, Robert, that look, there are all kinds of changes that are happening in the media landscape, but what cannot happen, and we have got to be absolutely focused to make sure that we have Black-owned media, not just when it comes to telling our story, but Black-owned media also creates opportunities for African Americans to be able to tell their story, for folks who to be panelists. I can't tell you how many people reach out to us, and we can't do all the stories that mainstream media would never give them the time of day. And so if there's a lot of stuff, a lot of entertainment shows and gossip shows and sports shows out there, but our audience deserves to have real news shows that we're not having to be caught up in a lot of the entertainment and sports drama.
You're absolutely correct, Roland. I'm going to challenge the viewers. I'm going to challenge the listeners. We have to start supporting Black-owned news and Black news media, because otherwise we only get propaganda. There are 1,050 trillion websites to talk about Blueface and Krishan and what they do on a daily basis. I know more about the relationship between Miss Netta and Charles than I have ever cared to know about. We need more than just gossip and internet stuff. We have to have real news in the Black community, because it's not as if these stories are not happening. And I think that it's telling that we've had so many Black media outlets not be able to financially sustain themselves. And that's partially because we, as a Black community, do not support Black news to the level that we need to be doing so. We see real major stories in Black news getting less views than a kid doing a makeup tutorial or opening presents. You realize that we are not taking these issues seriously. And this is why so often when it comes to political conversations, we get fed propaganda as opposed to policy. That when you have to talk to other communities, you have to come in talking about legislation, dollars, cents, how exactly this will impact your community. When they come to us, often they're talking about, entertainment and then doing the electric slide and all these other things, as opposed to policy, because they don't believe that we are real consumers of real news and real serious policy considerations. And if we start taking it seriously and putting real dollars behind it, if you build it, they will come. Roland, you have shown that.
But I think that, Rebecca, when we talk about how vital this is, and listen, I've lived it for a long time, and I can't explain to people enough. From a political standpoint, I'll give you a perfect example. In the last 2 months, there have been 4 Black-specific polls that were released. We've had those folks on this show. I think maybe one mainstream show did something on it, but they've been totally ignored. And so if you don't have an opportunity to be able to tell your story, it's like a tree falling in the forest. And we've got to understand that I've said for years, we will rue the day when we're having to beg mainstream white media, please, 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 baby, please, can you cover our stuff? That should never be the case. We've got to have Black-owned media that's speaking to our issues. And yeah, I don't give a damn about the Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole rap battle. I'm not talking about that. Other folks can, that's fine. But it's enough of that art out there. We got to have places where we talk about our stuff.
I mean, I do think there's policy implications in some of the entertaining news and gossip, but we still need a place where we can have serious news discussions, because even to talk about the role in the Drake and Kendrick beef and whether or not AI is going to play a part of it, to me, that is a real policy discussion that the Black community should be having, because it's also the future of our workforce as we see AI integrated into everyday life. But that said, I think it's really important to note, Roland, I think it was in March when you were spending a lot of time talking about the media upfronts and how important that they are, because it then allows media companies and Black-owned media companies to determine their budget for the following year or even the next following 2 years. So even listening to the sad story with what's happening over at the Grio, I wonder if the lack of investment in Black-owned media companies during the media upfronts, if that also led to these layoffs. Like, we can't, as a Black community, we cannot afford to have less outlets because, like you said, there's only a handful of outlets that's delivering news by us, for us, about us. And that's very important as people are trying to navigate not just a political season, but just as people are trying to navigate, period, because you're not going to hear that from your local cookie cutter news.
And Suzette, the reality is this here. I mean, I have been for 3.5 years, we've been dealing with these ad agencies being frozen out. We're finally, I think, making some headway. But there are still other ad agencies that are giving us the runaround. And what they do is they have you talk to their multicultural teams, but the real money is when you talk to the chief investment officer, the people who handle the budgets. And I'll tell you right now, for 3 years, Publicis, we dealt with that bullshit. They had us talking to folk that had no monetary authority whatsoever. It was a complete waste of our time. And it wasn't until one of my guys cussed them out, and then the chief investment person was like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? We finally started getting real meetings with the chief investment officers of each one of the teams, which has led to real conversations, which we hope is going to actually lead to real money. But we were dealing with a bullshit group of people who were just giving us the runaround, and then we find out that in the 3 years we were dealing with them, they were never presenting our stuff to the other teams. These teams had no idea that we existed, the Black Star Network, that Urban Edge Network, which is our advertising partner, existed. And so this is the kind of stuff that we've been dealing with. And so, again, losing shows is not a good thing. The thing for us is, and I just keep telling folk, we can't act like this is not a big deal. I've lived and breathed media since I was 14, and I'm gonna tell you right now, there are stories that we do every single day. They are not going to get any attention at ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. Black people watch MSNBC more than any other cable network, and I can tell you right now, 98% of the stuff that we do will never see the light of day at MSNBC.
Absolutely. When we look at this decision, I mean, you pointed out that news is a business. At the end of the day, in order to keep employees, in order to keep an operation running, I mean, Byron Allen is a businessman, and he's going to look at what he has to do. But as you stated, that the money is really the issue. Where advertisers are choosing to spend or not spend their dollars is really the issue. When we look at, as you've stated, I'm sure there are many other Black-owned publications that could attest to what you just stated, which is that the advertisers are happy to take our money, but do not want to spend money to get us and to acquire us within their spending audience, their target audience. So we have to do double the work to convince them that this is the market share that we have, and that this conditioning that they're okay with, which is the entertainment and that fluffy, nonsensical, oftentimes, entertainment media. We have to also just, as consumers, as Robert pointed out, be very aware of what's happening to us intellectually and where we're being pushed in terms of, how we're spending our time, what we're thinking about, and what, that creates as far as what we think our agenda is. We need spaces that are elevated. We need spaces that are Black-owned that can, like you said, target these stories that will never see the light of day in mainstream media. It's great that you have been able to, have the blueprint and show that this is something that is possible. But it is something that, again, some might argue by design, is to keep us in a mindset that is, full of, entertainment, sports, and that's it. But we need to have these serious discussions, because just like, we are seeing Black communities that are just so passionate about what's happening in Palestine, they have to also be engaged in understanding what is happening with us right here.
Yep.
So without Black media, we don't have that. And I want to correct the record just real quick on the last segment. I did say administrative hearing. I was thinking congressional. Through judiciary and other platforms for Kristen Clarke. I just wanted to correct the record as to what my mind was. Thank you, sir.
All right. We appreciate it. So we'll wait to hear back. Byron hits me back. I'll let y'all know what he says. All right, going to a break. We come back. We're going to chat about artificial intelligence and its impact on music. Folks, this could be very, very scary. That's next in our Tech Talk segment. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We welcome a towering intellect, activist, master theorist, prolific author, and unstoppable firebrand for change. The one and only Dr. Errol Henderson joins us to talk about his new book, The Revolution Will Not Be Theorized, Cultural Revolution in the Black Power Era.
And this is what's going on in so much of academia and in some movement circles is an anti-Black nationalism.
It's an hour of power that you don't want to miss. That's right here on the Black Table on the Black Star Network.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
A lot has been discussed regarding artificial intelligence and the concerns and the issues it will have. Now, others say how great, amazing, and wonderful it is. So, for instance, Tyler Perry was embarking on an $800 million project on his studio campus in Atlanta area. But then when he started seeing artificial intelligence, he actually put a major halt to it, saying he may not even have to physically build sets because of AI. So people are looking at artificial intelligence and say it can be, a lot of things can be done that's great and wonderful. But there also are issues. The music industry is one that is keeping a close eye on how AI may become a major threat to artists. Joining us right now is Isaac Hayes III, the managing manager. He's the founder of Fanbase, also the son of course, legendary singer Isaac Hayes. And Isaac, you dropped a video the other day that blew folks away, and it was just something just rudimentary regarding artificial intelligence. Explain.
I made a video prompt. I wanted to make a song about use artificial intelligence platform called Udio to make a song about Call of Duty and rap music, right? It's silly. And it actually gave the prompt. I actually gave it just kind of like vague prompts, and it gave me a song that sounded like Jeezy's voice. Like young Jeezy's voice came back out of this prompt, and I didn't give it anything about Jeezy. I just said I want trap, Atlanta, Call of Duty, booty, threw that in there, and it made a whole song with hooks and verses and all that kind of stuff. It was really eye-opening of what artificial intelligence can do with regard to music, so it was crazy.
And in your conversation with Jermaine, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't your conversation with Jermaine Dupri. It was before that Jermaine Dupri actually dropped a video where he went off on these apps. Others. He said, wait a minute. He said, basically what he was saying is, okay, it takes talent to be a music producer. He said, but this whole idea that, oh no, you can be a music producer at home and you could just, boom, press a couple of buttons and presto, you got a hit song. He was not happy about that.
Nah, Jermaine was, and I understand why, because time, effort, and energy and the talent that someone like Jermaine has amassed over his, 30-year music career, 30-plus music career is something to be respected and valued. And the fact that these AI models are being trained on copywritten music and artists and songs is the problem, because then it's not making anything original. It's taking already, created content and creating this new content. So who owns that content? Who has the rights to that? And so I think it causes a significant issue when it comes to the rights of artists, right? Name, image, and likeness, things like that. So a voice, like someone like Jeezy, and I got a little pushback from saying that I feel like artists should start to find ways to trademark their voice. It's not very common that you can trademark a voice, but if you can attach your voice to a specific product or a specific industry, then you can trademark to protect your voice. And I think artists like musicians, singers, rappers should definitely be able to do that, because these programs, these AI-generated music generators are making songs that sound like Ronald Isley, that sound like Kanye, that sound like Jeezy, that sound like all these different people. And that's very, very scary. And so it's going to be a battle. I expect the music industry to come vehemently at, platforms like Udio and some of these other song AI-generating music platforms, for real.
But you also have said that, frankly, anybody in the public space, yours, including me, must be looking at trademarking our voice, our face, our likeness, because it can be used with artificial intelligence in a way that we don't permit.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you can fabricate, your likeness now. I mean, Roland, right now, there's platforms where you can actually clone your voice. You can take your voice, clone it, use it. You can actually clone yourself as an AI avatar. And, a good percentage of people probably wouldn't even know it's you. And so people being able to do that and fabricate your likeness and then say things and then create content and have you say things that you never said and offend people or make people react in a way that isn't authentic to who you are and what you do is very, very dangerous. That's the dangerous side of AI, and I say that that's very, very important. I think there's a beautiful and positive side to AI, especially with music, because I think even when I've heard some of the artists that have passed on and AI try to recreate and generate music based off that. We saw Drake do that over the past week with the AI track where he actually rapped as Tupac, then he rapped as Snoop Dogg, and then himself. And people were really stunned and amazed that it sounded exactly like Pac and sounded exactly like Snoop. And so for people that are no longer with us and those estates and those families want to continue for their legacy to live on and be able to create music and do things or remix music, or even artists that have lost their voice, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's Freeway or Siegel that's kind of lost their voice to the DLC. They could come back and make records now, cloning their voice and make music using AI, because you know they can take the vocals that they originally had before DLC got his accident, and now he can make rap albums again. So that's the good side about AI. But people are always going to use artificial intelligence in a negative way, as well as a positive way, and so we have to have that balance in between.
Questions from our panel. First up, let's see, who's probably well versed on AI? I'm sure Robert probably has his own AI game featuring guns and stuff along those lines. So, Robert, you go first.
Oh, you're not far off. But on that point about AI, how exactly do we keep legislative policy up to date on what's going on with technology? We're now, as you were mentioning, you can do deep fakes now, where they can take literally anybody's face and put it on live moving video, mouth moving also, and say lines and read any script that they. How we can also now do entire movie performances. We saw Samuel L. Jackson be deep faked and de-aged in the Marvels by 30 years, to the point now you don't even need the actor to be on set anymore. I believe Star Wars bought James Earl Jones' voice, so even after James Earl Jones is dead, he will still be the voice of Darth Vader, which is creepy. Carrie Fisher is still appearing in Star Wars movies, even though she's been dead for years. How exactly do we regulate these things? Because right now it seems that it's very much individuals have control of their name, image, and likeness. But it seems in the future, people will just be able to run off and just reproduce this entire show on a computer and not accredit it to any of us.
I mean, I think that's going to happen. Some form of piracy is always going to happen, right? But it's when that piracy is monetized, right? When someone tries to make a movie and sell it. I think people try to take people's copyright. People try to, burn DVDs of movies that are already out, and that's a form of piracy. And so AI digital piracy is going to be something that exists. So I think, number one, I mean, there's ways to tell, and actually they're working on programs to tell if something is AI generated or not. So there's always a way to be able to tell if something is artificial or something is not artificial. So that's first and foremost, is making sure that we have the technology to decipher between what's real and what isn't. Because as we move further along in the next few years, you'll be able to recreate images and photos. I've been on Midjourney 6. I've been on YouTube with music. You'll be able to render photos of yourself and songs of yourself. And it's really cool. I mean, those are the cool things to do. So I think every individual human being is going to have to find a way to trademark their name, image, likeness, and have this, unique identity, this fingerprint, this voice fingerprint that is yours, this vocal print that is yours. So then if someone is trying to make a song out of your voice, or someone is trying to deep fake you into a piece of content, that they can, you can be notified that someone's using your voice illegally, have that voice pulled down, XYZ, and move on and so forth. So policy is definitely going to start on Capitol Hill, and they need to get on it sooner than later, because AI is moving way faster than the government.
Absolutely. Suzette?
Yeah, I think to answer Robert's question, I was looking at as research for this particular discussion that there are bills that are being discussed with regards to having these UDO and other platforms have to disclose what they use as original source material in creating that new sound. So we know AI, again, is based off of all the things that have ever been written and sung in this case. So it came from somewhere. It started with somebody's intellectual property, not only voice, but perhaps even flow, or perhaps even melodies, et cetera, et cetera. So there are bills that I was just reading about it today that are being offered to make these companies disclose. I want to ask, thank you for being here, Mr. Fanbase, about the music industry's response. Has there been a coalescing or any type of mass movement where, like in the case of, maybe if people remember Napster, that, was basically sued out of existence? Are you hearing, or are you seeing anybody come together, coalescing around demands when it comes to companies that are basically, as you stated, pirating other people's information and thoughts and intellectual property. And I know there's maybe some fair use arguments, but again, they're monetizing it. This is not for educational purposes. This is not just snippets. This is literally voice patterns, just like someone who already exists. Have you heard about any lawsuits or any other significant means of this industry starting the discussions about how they're going to combat this so that their intellectual property is just not exploited without any type of recompense or recourse?
Yes, absolutely. Those conversations are happening now. There's stories being written. There's conversations behind closed doors that are happening. Because again, one thing the music industry is going to do is protect those publishing and those masters. That is the core. You know, that is the income.
That's the muley.
What you say?
That's the muley.
And the money is in that publishing and those masters. And so when someone tries to step on that and come in and encroach upon, these publishing companies and their IP, they're gonna shut it down. So again, I don't know how UDO is going to make it out of this. You know what I'm saying? It's a great tool. Again, it's fun to use. If you want a cute song to impress your girlfriend, go right ahead. Write a love song about her. Comes out perfect. I think that's really cool. But it's the fact that if it comes out sounding like Sam Cooke, is the estate of Sam Cooke going to get paid to do that? And that's the problem that I think they're having. So those conversations are absolutely being had, though. I already, people have been calling me like, yeah, they already looking at them. So get ready for that.
Rebecca?
So Drake using Tupac's voice and rapping using Tupac's voice, I personally thought it was corny. However, Drake is one of the most profitable artists in the world right now, right? He's making a lot of money for a lot of people in the music industry. And so that leads me to think that the music industry wants music and the music industry to go in this particular direction with the use of AI. So my question for you is this ultimately good for the individual artist if there's incorporation of AI into the music industry, or is this more where it's just it's a next level for the music industry to continue to profit?
Well, when you ask that question, I can't think just about the artist. I have to think about the songwriter, the producer, the engineer, the mastering engineer. Those are jobs that are in jeopardy for things like that because these programs are making the tracks. They're playing instruments. They're doing drum programming and drum patterns, and these are all jobs in arts and skills that other people have been doing and getting paid handsomely for since the beginning of the music industry. So now if artificial intelligence is going around creating tracks that are not copywritten material or based off copywritten material or source material, it becomes a very, very slope. And so I think there's really good uses for AI. I think you can do some creative things. I thought what Drake did was creative. I don't know if West Coast fans might have appreciated it or Kendrick Lamar fans might have appreciated it, but I thought it was pretty savvy for him to rap as Tupac and as Snoop Dogg asking Kendrick to hurry up and respond to his diss record. And that was a cool use of AI and the ability to do that. But you actually see these labels laying off a lot of people. So they're laying off a lot of internal staff. But now when you think about laying off or not working with songwriters and producers anymore because AI can generate tracks and then now you can fabricate artists and sell music. I think there's ways to use AI a positive way. And I say this with every functionality that's ever created in tech. You have to take it to hell before you take it to heaven. And all that means is you got to figure out the worst thing that someone can do with it before you figure out the really cool, fun things you can do. And so I think with the music industry, they're definitely going to figure out what nefarious things that can be done to cost them money, that cost the music industry money or the artist money to do that. But again, I think this is also going to focus more on, and I say this with AI, is that IRL content, in real life content is going to matter more and more moving forward. So the show is going to matter. Seeing Drake, Kendrick, Beyonce live in concert is going to matter more than sometimes the music that they create. If AI, the trend of AI continues to grow and these programs take over music, then the live performance aspect is going to be a lot more valuable to the artists themselves.
All right, then. Isaac, give us an update on the crowdfunding raise for Fanbase.
Oh, goodness. We just passed $1 million raised for our round on Start Engine. I'm asking everybody who wants to invest, who's watching right now, go to startengine.com/Fanbase to invest. Have equity in Fanbase. The minimum to invest is $399. You get equity in this company. We're raising $17 million, but our first milestone was 1 million. Our next is 2.5 million, which we want to reach. And so with that, we always announce things that we can do. So just passing this first $1 million, we're about to add RTMP streaming for video games, live streaming events, stuff like that to fan base. So that is coming. And so the more capital we raise, the more we're able to execute and build upon that. So just like you see on my shirt, if you can't see sometimes, go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest and get some equity fan base. Again, TikTok might be going away. It's good to have equity in a company that might be the successor to TikTok if TikTok leaves, and be able to have equity in that, because you can't have equity in TikTok. So again, I tell people, better safe than sorry to grab some shares, move your content over to Fanbase, and join the community as we continue to scale. And so you said by getting RTMP, so that's the key. So let's say if we wanted to actually stream our show on Fanbase, we'll be able to do that once you have RTMP and the stream key. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be able to do that. Roland, I thought I was going to hear your song. I sent you a song. Did they ever send you the song that I sent you? No. Did you hear the song? Oh, man. Man, it was AI generated. I made a Roland Martin. Hold on, Carol, you have it? Oh, yeah. Dude, she didn't tell me about the song. Oh, listen, you got to listen to it. You didn't even tell me. First of all, she said it's in the script. Well, first of all, I'm already at the damn questions, so I'm going to get to that part of the script. Anyway, all right, so Isaac, all right, go ahead and play this AI-generated song. See, Carol, you should have told me at the top. Go. So just straight created by AI. That's not no real people there. No real people there. I made that in 30 seconds, Roland. Like it was that fast to make that. Wow, that's crazy. All right, Carol, play the second one that's also not in the script. Y'all playing two different things at one time? Again, folk better understand what it's gonna do. You're right. Government they're going to move real fast because AI is moving real quick. Go ahead. I did those in 30. I did both of those songs in like less than a minute. It took less than 2 minutes to make those songs. I said, give me a Roland Martin theme song, make it like 70s funk soul or smooth R&B, and then it just made it. I didn't pick the voices. It just, the first one sounded like In Vogue. I thought it was In Vogue singing the Roland Martin show. So that's the thing about it. It's crazy what you can do. So AI is coming, but yeah, they're going to have to move on this really, really fast. Yeah, and In Vogue actually sings the real theme song to Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's Cindy Heron and Terry Ellis. Yeah. Dope. Yeah, absolutely. So our actual theme song, they actually did that and gifted to me. So it was actually, they cut that because I had solicited some folks to do the theme song for TV One's News One Now. And then they were like, well, that sounds dated. So what they do, they went with some old boring ass canned news. I was like, y'all went with some canned shit and we could have had In Vogue as a theme song. I think the In Vogue version is a hell of a lot better than that canned crap we had with News One Now, TV One. But that's neither here nor there. It's now the theme song of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Isaac, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you, man. Suzette, Robert, and Rebecca, I appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much as well. Appreciate it. Good luck, folks. I'm going to go to a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to share with y'all some of the fun stuff at the George Lopez Celebrity Golf Classic on Monday. That's next. Back in a moment.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, the wealth gap has literally not changed in over 50 years. years, according to the Federal Reserve. On the next Get Wealthy, I'm excited to chat with Jim Castleberry, CEO of Known Holdings. They have created a platform, an ecosystem to bring resources to Blacks and people of color so they can scale their business.
Even though we've had several examples of African Americans and other people of color being able to be successful, we still aren't seeing the mass level of us being lifted up.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer of Proud Family. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, Sunday and Monday was the 17th annual George Lopez Celebrity Golf Classic. We kicked things off at Top Golf with the pairings party. And then on Monday, the golf tournament was at Lakeside. Here's just some of the fun stuff right here.
What's your musical request this year?
Airport Diaries. Go stand in line.
I experienced oh, you on the budget?
I watch you, brother. I watch you.
Hey.
I watch this for the Airport Diaries, so I ignore that stuff. You understand? I avoid that shit.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that left-handed golf because I'm left-handed as well.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be watching you.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You're the crack. You're the crack.
There you go. You know it.
All right, y'all. So my wife, Jack, is a huge fan of The Unit.
Okay.
She's always watching the show.
Betty Boo in the flesh, still alive and kicking.
Dude, trust me. So we huge fans of the show. Both of us watch it, but she watches now all the repeats.
Sure.
And then she's still mad they changed the theme song.
I'm so mad they changed the theme song, sweetheart. There was nothing like, come on. The other theme song is why we got canceled.
There we go. That was like MAGA right.
That was MAGA right.
That was MAGA right.
That was sucking. But you know, this is not my club.
Oh, it's the club?
It's a club.
It's the club. Okay. All right, here we go. On three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Okay, that's better. Need some more bass. Happy birthday, dear George. Happy birthday to you. Now, for all the black people, we sing the Stevie Wonder version. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Come on, Michael Wilson. Fake like a black, Mike. Yeah, no rhythm. He's no rhythm.
I just want to thank Ricky Williams for coming out here and helping me celebrate my birthday. Ricky Williams, University of Texas, Roland St.
Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. Left before he... You know, thank you for that rousing rendition of Happy Birthday. As you get older, there's two things that are happening. I'm not going to remember, and as you were singing, I peed a little bit. So, let me go off. And thank you for not putting all my candles in, because we'd have to put a wet towel over it.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here at Warner Brothers and just everyone involved with this project. Jurassic Park has been so fantastic. The dinosaurs, I think, beyond. Yeah, thank you, everybody. We've been doing this for 17 years, and Linda said, this is it. No more. No, she is here. I wish you would, though. No, but thank you for all of your support and all that. And, you know, Dennis Haysbert, you see Dennis Haysbert here? If you hit somebody on the way out, talk to him, but I'll state. Also, the first African-American, before Barack Obama Dennis Haysbert was our first African-American president. 24, and as soon as they got in, they cut it down to 17. Thank you, Dennis Haysbert.
They spend better than the Usher bucks. Yeah. They spend better than the Usher bucks.
I love that. Said your 60th?
Oh man, 6-0, bro. We had did it. We went hard. We went hard in Vegas. Shout out while my man coming through here.
I was shocked to see you, Anthony and Deal, actually here before the I said they're gonna roll in by 1 o'clock.
Man, yeah. George was there too. So I said we all gonna make it back for his tournament, man. But you can hear it in my voice. It was wore out. We had a blast, man. We opened up the residency. Me, Tony Braxton, Chelsea Theater, Triumph. It sold out. Big show. Everybody, y'all get a chance to go see it this summer at the Chelsea at the Cosmo. Love and Laughter Tour. Crazy. It's fun. And then, man, it was 6-0. Had a big party, man. We had loose ends perform. It was crazy. Tony came and sang happy birthday to me. It was lit, man. So my voice is gone. We did the AC barbecue brunch the next day at Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. Y'all shout them out, Lolo's, man. So it's been a legendary 6-0, man. I guess you only turned 60 once, they said.
Yeah, just once.
So that's good.
Just once.
So we having a great time.
Now, normally you got your little cap of red, but today, I mean, are you trying to like, you trying to feel like DL and Anthony trying to show him some love?
Boy, I pulled the little, the pink Jordans on them, though. So that was it, man.
Not the pink Jordans.
Yeah. Hit him with the 1-2 on these guys, man. But I figured it was kind of summertime. We opening up. We in May. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we still April, though.
It's still April. It's April.
It's good. It's still
See, you can tell y'all had too much fun. You like, is it May? Is it May?
What day is it? Yeah. Georgia's tournament usually is May, but so we're excited about it, man. So it's gonna be a great day out here, man. This is one of the fun. Georgia's tournament's always one of the fun ones, man. So we're gonna have a blast.
Now, are we going back to Mexico this year?
No, man, we're gonna bring it back. That was my 10th, so I wanted to do something.
Right.
Big. So we're gonna bring it back to stateside this time. So we'll be back out in Camarillo somewhere. I think we'll do it at Satacoy this year. It's gonna be fun.
All right, baby. Appreciate it.
All right.
Sure.
It's gonna be good. Oh, the party was fun. The barbecue was great. We had a blast, man. Thank you, man. I'm glad you was there, bro.
George, what do you make of the? Y'all like yin and yang with your pants and his shirt?
Listen, man, fuck yin and yang.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all the yin yang twins?
Yeah.
I'm doing the anti-both. Listen, man.
Yeah.
Shake it trying to wear no hat in 1983, motherfucker.
Come on now.
The sun's gonna disintegrate.
Live golf, baby. Live golf.
Oh, you got on the shark hat, though.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Live golf, damn it.
Hey, Greg Norman's looking for that hat, motherfucker.
I got the cream one at the house.
So all y'all know how I feel about West Wing. I have all of the DVDs. Forget trying to stream it. I want to make sure that if anybody takes it off streaming service, I still got it. So that is still my #1 show to this day.
Yeah, and people don't realize it because I'm so much more handsome now than I used to be. But I was on the West Wing.
Right. This is Toby, folks. When not Toby from Roots. Okay, that was Toby and Kunta. No, but Toby from the West Wing. If y'all have not seen it, to this day, it holds up one of the most fantastic shows in the history of television. Absolutely. Always good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Smokey, you feeling orgasmic?
Yes, I am. This is gonna be a gasm.
So they keep messing with you on social media with your dancing in leather.
Well,
But you like, I'm still singing. They still paying to see me.
As long as I'm getting some attention, don't matter.
But the new album's going well?
Doing well, man. Doing really well. And the thing about it is, when you have a new album out nowadays, it's only been out for about 3 months, and already there's 4 singles. The people just pick the singles, and it just, ain't like the old days. You have one, and then they play it, and then, after a while they play another one. So it's doing great, baby.
All right.
Good to see you, too,
Always
man.
good to see you. Doing well. I see you always completely coordinated.
Look who's talking.
Completely.
Look who's talking.
I mean, completely. You like Ryder Cup coordinated.
Look who's talking. The man who I've never seen uncoordinated.
Well, you know.
In personal life, golf, whatever.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You just say. All right, baby.
All right, baby. Good seeing you. Y'all hit them well.
All right. Which one?
Y'all won.
I thought we won 6.
I thought so too, but I was looking at that. That's something else. You won 1A.
After all these years.
See what a stunning couple you look
I
like?
think we look good
Just
together.
saying.
Just
What's up, Cool
saying.
Breeze?
Just saying.
I'm ready. What?
What's up, Cool Breeze?
Yeah,
Hit him straight,
I mean,
baby.
come
Hit
on.
him
Do you know my wife?
How you doing?
Hi. I mean, Mrs. Eddie.
She's like the reason I have hope.
Aww.
There you go.
George, I love you, man. I love you. I'm the reason I'm here is because of your wife, your ex-wife, the one who gave you the body that we're all here for. You know what? I love you, George. The foundation, the reason we all understand it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, baby. All right.
People say
I think he needs some inspiration.
Loud and hard deep inside you. So take a good look at
Can I just say, industry plant. Industry plant.
Don't you know I need you? Since you left me, this is like
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Do it for the gram. Do it for the gram. Okay. All right, y'all. So, you know, what was the last tournament? Y'all were out of cobbler. Marcus Allen took all the damn cobbler, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, thankfully, they were on the third hole. So, and Marcus ain't here. So, Brother Fine gets a piece of cobbler. Boom. You ain't got to heat it up because it's in the sun. Real good. And tell everybody what the Instagram is.
Oh, Mommy Helen's Bakery and Mommy Helen's Bakery.
And y'all ship stuff, right?
We ship all over the world, do corporate events. Just call us. Just call us. I can send it.
Get a number.
909.
Child, you got a sale.
383. 384. Give me the number. 7052.
909-384. 909-384-7052. All right. Y'all check them out.
Hello? God damn, fucking bombs away.
You know,
we ain't hidden. Why do I waste my time?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Why would I waste my time? That's fucking smoke.
Just saying, you know, just saying. Just saying. Sometimes you gotta go ahead and do that. Crank it. Is that a little short? Is that a little short?
Yeah?
Is that a little short?
You fucking killed that thing. Hey, I didn't even fucking swing because I said fucking roll. Fuck that. Why lose a ball? Why lose? Look at, I still have my ball because he fucking hit like a 300-yard drive.
God damn it! Not a bad. Yeah. You hit it straight. Right.
you hit him, Joe?
Did you just see?
Yeah, I just saw it. Did you hit anybody? Did you hit anybody?
He got on the green right there.
You know why you wanna try for a second?
Hey, why you steal my ball, man? Why you steal my ball? Hey, stop, man. Stop. Stop playing. That shit hurts you. Stop that shit. Hey.
What's up, baby? You hitting well? Or you just chilling? Oh, you ain't got golf course back here.
Hey, your daddy here, Alpha Daddy here.
It was a load of fun there. George Lopez Celebrity Golf Classic. But it was a little sad. Linda Small, she is being the tournament organizer. This was her last tournament after 17 years. We were at the post award ceremony, and it got a little emotional when she made this announcement. Here's George, who was really choked up about this being her last one.
Ringing the bell, the house, we're like, who would be ringing our bell? It was Linda. She's working with the National Kidney Foundation, and she was like, I think you would be great, to be the, presence of Kidney Foundation. And I mean, it's literally like I've been home for 2 days, and she came over, and I'm Chicano, so I didn't open the door, but I was married to a Cuban. She opened it, and man, I don't really know other than when I had my transplant 19 and a half years ago, I felt so good a day and a half after that. I just felt like I couldn't turn my back on people that were sick, and that's why we're here. But we wouldn't be here without Linda, and I can't.
Linda has done a fantastic job. We took a picture afterwards. She always would get everybody organized. And again, we want to wish Linda well. She's had some health challenges. This is her last time organizing the tournament. And so again, we want to thank her a lot. And also always appreciate my homie George Lopez for having me out. And that hat George got on. So George has a tradition where George will actually gift me a hat every year. So he saw my cowboy hat and he said, what size? He said, what size you wearing? And so at the end of the tournament, he actually gave me that hat that he has on. And so I appreciate that, George. So it's always great to see him, see all the folks out there. The money raised for the George Lopez Foundation. It benefits kids who have kidney issues. Remember, George's former wife actually gave him her kidney. That's why he is still with us. And so more than 3,000 kids have gone through the kidney camp since they started this foundation. And so it's always great to be out there. And so, George, another great year. We appreciate it. And next month, well, actually this month, now we're in May, Anthony Anderson has his celebrity golf tournament in Palm Desert. So I'll be there as well. So we look forward to have some fun stuff from there as well. Y'all, that's it. Hey, y'all YouTube folks, why y'all so slow today? Hit the like button. Hurry up, hit the like button, y'all. Let's get to 1,000 before I get out of here. All right, so hurry up, hit the like button so we can get to 1,000. Y'all, please support us in what we do. The dollars that you give go to this show. I'm telling y'all, you already heard me talk about Byron Allen, canceling those shows. We have got to have Black-owned media speaking to our issues. And so please support us right here at the Black Star Network. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. I'm telling you, the goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You can make that possible by sending your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, The First, President Barack Obama's Road to the White House, as originally reported by Roland S. Martin. Got a fire sale. Once I am sold out of these books, I'm not reprinting anymore. I'm personally autographing every single one of these. And y'all, I sat there for 4 hours today. 4 hours sitting there signing books and of course autographing those books, packaging the books as well. And if y'all think, I'm telling you, I'm out there working it. So if you want to get your copy, please go to RolandSMartin.com/the first, and y'all can see right here. Y'all think I'm lying? See right here? Boom! I was packing them up, autographed there. They're all in the box right here as well. So that's what we were doing. So again, I'm making it work. So again, get your copy. RolandSMartin.com/the first. Personally autographing every single copy. Just $10, $5.99 shipping and handling, and we'll get it out to you. And also be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. Again, when you buy, and also don't forget our pocket squares, Shibori pocket squares, the custom feather pocket squares, RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So the pocket squares, White Fear, The First, all the proceeds go right back into the show, because folks, that's what we are about, building something that Black-owned, Black-controlled, to speak to our issues. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. How? Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?